Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, then hello, my name's Sarah. I'm a doctor in the UK and I make videos about my life as a doctor and what I get up to in my free time. You are currently joining me on a Saturday morning. Yes, Saturday morning. I've just finished a night shift. I have just got in my car. I'm about to drive home, and I just thought that while my shift is fresh in my mind, I would let you guys know what I got up to. So I'm going to make this a one-take wonder. I'm going to try to just film it, not edit it, and upload it because I'm just too tired for that. So apologies if I kind of scramble my words a bit. I'm very tired. I haven't slept for over 24 hours. So I was in resus last night, which is the part of A&E where patients are the most critically unwell. And at the moment, because of coronavirus, we have our A&E emergency department split into a COVID unit and a non-COVID unit. So any patients with suspected COVID symptoms go to the COVID side, and everyone else comes to the non-COVID side. I was in non-COVID resus. So resus generally is a very busy, fast-paced environment. Actually, last night was not that busy. We didn't have loads of patients, which is unusual for a Friday night in a very large major trauma centre in a city. What did I see? First patient I saw was someone who had dislocated their elbow, and I got to manipulate it back into the joint. Now, when you're manipulating a joint, you need to make sure that you're not trapping any nerves. I said at the start of this video I wanted to do no editing, but I was waffling so much it was impossible, so I've just decided to do a voiceover and show you guys exactly what I mean. So this is a normal elbow x-ray. I've stolen these images from Radiopedia, really great resource if you want to learn about x-rays online. So this is what your elbow should look like at the moment. You have in your elbow joint lots of important nerves and blood vessels that run very close to the bone. If the elbow joint gets damaged by, for example, dislocation or a fracture, then it's very easy for those nerves and blood vessels to become damaged as well by the movement of the bone. So it's really important when you see someone with a fracture or a dislocation to assess their neurovascular status. And in plain English, that means assessing the function of the nerves and the blood vessels of that limb. From a medico-legal standpoint, it's really important to make sure that you do this before you do any sort of manipulation of that joint. So manipulation is where you're trying to put the joint back in place. The reason that is because you want to be able to know if there is any nerve or blood vessel damage. Was it done by the initial injury, or was it done by you actually pulling the joint back into place? So in these patients, we take a full history, an examination, which includes assessing the function of the nerves and the blood vessels, and then you send them for an x-ray, which will show what the pathology is. After they have the x-ray, they will have some painkillers, we'll do the manipulation, and then you will reassess their neurovascular status to make sure that you haven't trapped a nerve or damaged a blood vessel. They will then have another x-ray, and they'll have any slings or supports they might need and be followed up in fracture clinic. That's a very common thing that you might see in resus. And the reason that they're in resus, although they're not critically unwell, is because the medication that we give them, they are very strong painkillers, and we need to be able to act fast if they do pass out or have any problems with their heart, for example. So that was that. Later in the night, we had a patient who, I won't go into too much detail because the story is, is quite an identifiable story, and of course got to keep patient confidentiality. But it was a patient who was being quite violent in a way and was brought in by police. Now, we often have police in the emergency department, but I have never seen this many police having to be with one patient. There were 9 police officers for this one patient, and I kid you not, 9 police officers were struggling to keep this patient sort of, I don't want to say under control, because that is not the purpose of what the police are there for, but to keep the patient safe and to keep staff safe and to keep themselves safe. This patient was really agitated. They had a mixture of illicit drugs and alcohol and just basically very violent. And the reason I'm telling you this is because it really made me think about how difficult the job of the police is. I know it's a difficult time to be talking about that at the moment, But I have to bring it up because of what I saw tonight, and the police were just doing such a fantastic job. And by the end of the shift, they looked really broken. I had a chat with one of the police officers, and he said that he had quite a traumatic night. He didn't obviously tell me what he'd been to see, but he said that he'd been to some quite horrible call-outs, and then had to deal with this as their last call out of the night. And I'm amazed at what they do. And when I see police in the department, which we often do, I just think, gosh, our jobs as doctors and healthcare professionals looks so easy in comparison to what they do. Really, they have a very difficult job, and I've got so much respect for the police men and women who are working really hard to keep us safe. And I know that obviously there's been a lot of backlash against the police recently, and this particular police officer said that some of his colleagues have had eggs thrown at them in the street, and it's just kind of unnecessary when, you know, you've got hardworking people trying to do their jobs. So yeah, big shout out to all the police men and women who are doing a really good job. I mean, you guys know how I'm not trying to make this a political video, but you guys know how I feel about the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm very, very pro Black Lives Matter. Just want to make that very clear in this video. Another person who had taken an overdose, intending to end their life. They'd taken an absolute cocktail of medications and illicit substances and alcohol. And when you've got patients who've taken all sorts of things and you don't know what they've taken, it's you kind of have like a best guess. So the ambulance crew do a really good job normally of telling us, you know, any evidence that they might have found around that patient. They have a look around the house and see if there's any empty packets around the patient, and obviously we see what they are prescribed usually, because that can give us an idea of what they might have taken. What else did I see? Wasn't actually my patient, but I was just getting involved with them as I was leaving the shift. Was a patient who had high potassium in their blood, and high potassium in the blood can be really dangerous for a number of reasons, but the one that we worry about most in the emergency department is that it can cause arrhythmias. So it can make your heart beat out of rhythm, and the electrical conductivity of the heart gets changed by potassium, by high potassium levels in the blood and low potassium levels in the blood. But we give a medication, we give several medications to help with this, but the one we use to protect the heart is calcium gluconate. We give that very slowly over 10 minutes. So that was my last job of the shift. So yeah, that was the end of my shift. I'm gonna head home now. Just thought I'd give you a little update of what I've been up to, and I hope you're all well, having a great weekend. If you enjoy seeing little snippets of what I've been up to, then you might enjoy having a look at some of my vlogs. I'll link some down below and up here. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to see more. I think it's time I went to bed because I am struggling to get my words out straight. I'll catch you next time, guys. Bye. This week's shout out goes to Amelia Redman. Thank you for your comment, Amelia, and thank you to all of you guys who leave me lovely messages and comments. I really do appreciate it.